Hey everyone, my name is Will. Welcome to Room and Goods. So over the weekend, I've been playing a bunch of games, so I thought I'd take a break from VR news and play a few games on the Oculus Quest. You may be familiar with some of these games because they just got released, so I thought I'd share some of my thoughts with you all. Plus, I definitely have an eye on a couple of VR games which is releasing sometime this year. So Stride by Joyway just got released for early access a couple days ago on September 4th. It's a parkour action game where you can do actions like jumping on rooftops, climbing walls, going across balconies, sliding, ziplining, all while you're taking your enemies down. They released an early access to the community so they can get some feedback in terms of gaming mechanics. It's available on Steam for Valve Index, HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, Windows Mixed Reality. However, I personally used the Oculus Quest with the use of my original charging cable and it still worked. Now, this game will have 3 modes: Endless Mode, Speed Mode, and Arena Mode. But unfortunately, right now, the Endless Mode is the only one is available. The other modes will release in a later date. Now, first, it was a bit challenging to run and jump. I think it took me about at least 30 minutes of practice time before you kind of get used to the mechanics of the game. The tutorials did help with basic movements, but you definitely have to keep at it. Personally, I think the controls a bit too much to remember to perform an action. I think the controls definitely need to be simplified or at least provide an option of customizing your controls. And for example, in order to run and jump, you have to hold down the stick, swing your arms, and press a button and then release the button right before the jump. I think it's a bit too much, so the developers basically combine gestures and touch together. Hopefully through the updates they can provide the player the option of either gestures or touch. Having both is a bit awkward. Now, another problem I had when I was jumping or running, a reset view menu kept popping up, so that was definitely an annoyance. And then graphically, I felt it was a bit unpolished. I wish the cityscape had a bit more details. The grass was flat with not much textures. Maybe they can add people or even birds near the windows, just something that adds a bit more depth or life to the city. The developers did mention after they exit the early access stage, they will release a story mode as an update which will increase the cost of the game. But for those who purchase early access, the story mode will be a free update. So at its current state, I think $19.99 US is a bit expensive for the amount of content that's being offered, especially when it only comes in one mode. So it's more like paying for a potential of a great game, if that makes any sense. But you'll especially like Stride if you like games like Pistol Whip or Mirror's Edge. There's just a bit of learning curve to it, so with the updates, they will add additional content, but I'm hoping the controls are simplified. Do I recommend it? I'm leaning towards on the yes side because I can see the potential of the game, but I'm hoping they fix some of the issues of the controls because I think that's the biggest issue with the game. Next game is called Cookout, a sandwich tale by Resolution Games. It just came out on September 3rd for the Oculus Rift and the Quest. This game actually reminds me a lot like cooking in a fairy tale kitchen for characters that I was reading in a storybook when I was a kid. It's a multiplayer game that is up to 4 players and it's based on a fantasy sandwich shop where you need to cook and work in collaboration with others to make sandwiches as fast as possible for your customers, which includes cats, mice, and werewolves. So as you progress through the levels, it gets even crazier as food is flying all over the place or customers stealing ingredients. Now the goal of the game is pretty simple. You just have to put the right ingredients in order and do it quick because you have loads of orders coming in. But before the mayhem starts, they recommend that you train with the robot before you start the game, which is definitely recommended just to get familiar with the gameplay. You kind of get a hang of things within maybe 5 minutes of the tutorial, then you can just jump in with others, or there is a solo mode that's available to you with the help of other simulated players within the game, so you're going to always have someone to play with. So it starts off pretty slow with customers like mice, which is the easiest customers to satisfy, but as the level progresses, the customers gets more demanding. Like the rabbit, for example, wants everything now, the cats wants the perfect sandwich, raccoons would steal from other customers' plate, and the wolves would want tons of ingredients in their sandwiches. And while juggling all that, you need to wash dishes along with grilling some ingredients, and hopefully it doesn't catch on fire, but you do have this little fire extinguisher to put out the fire. Now if this gets too fast for you, you can earn potions as you progress through the levels where you can slow things down. For me, the most interesting part was interacting with others in the game. Everyone would talk over each other, shouting out orders, trying to even have a food fight, throwing virtual knives at each other. So it definitely gets pretty hectic, but it's a good time. So overall, it was pretty engaging, but I must admit, just looking at the trailer, I didn't think I would be interested in the game, but I'm glad I gave it a try. Having said all that, there were some glitches. Some of the players would freeze during gameplay, but from their point of view, they were still moving, so at times it was out of sync. However, I still recommend the game. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. So the next game I was playing over the week is Falcon Age by Outer Look Games that also just came out on September 3rd for Oculus Quest. Falcon Age is a first-person action adventure game where you bond, explore, and hunt with your sidekick Falcon. This game actually first came out in PSVR. The Quest is actually the first VR dedicated platform that the game will be on. So basically you play as a young girl where you team up with your Falcon to fight against these evil robots that has taken over the world. It's definitely an interesting dynamic between you and the Falcon. You tend to care for the baby Falcon because from the beginning you get introduced to the Falcon as a baby that unfortunately loses her mother during an attack. So you end up taking over as a parent. Then later in the story you see your baby Falcon grow up to a full-grown Falcon and you have this unique bonding experience while exploring the world, hunting for food, and bringing down your enemies. I found the actions of the Falcon pretty engaging when we were hunting for prey. I actually went out of my way to find more food and prey just to see and test what other actions the Falcon could actually perform. You can direct your Falcon to attack not only animals but robots by knocking them down or destroying them. And by the way, I had a tugging at the heartstrings moment during an attack. I had to actually pull out the needles from the Falcon after combat with the robot, and I kind of felt responsible for what actually happened to my virtual Falcon. So anyways, it does start off pretty slow as you start to learn how to move within the game and how to control your Falcon. The story actually opens up in a prison where you are held captive by the robots. This is where you learn the basics of controlling the character and your Falcon within that setting. And speaking of the setting, the environmental design of the desert is actually artistically done well. At times, I felt like I was stepping in this expressive type of painting, so aesthetically, I did enjoy the overall look of the game. So the world was pretty interesting to explore. I did enjoy the interactions and bonding experiences with my virtual Falcon. It definitely can draw you back into the world as you can provide different responses to various characters as you're interacting with them, which invokes different actions. And there's still lots of elements of the game I need to explore that I didn't get the chance to check out. So definitely love the overall theme and the interactions of the characters and the Falcon. So I personally give it a 4.5 stars because some parts of the story was a bit slow for me. Now, there's a couple games I have my eye on. One of them is Medal of Honor Above and Beyond that I'm sure some of you have heard about. So during Gamescom, Respawn Entertainment showed us a trailer for this upcoming VR title. Anyone who's familiar about this company knows that they do great first-person shooter games and actually earned a reputation of doing these type of games. So them being part of this game makes me even more excited about Medal of Honor. There have been early reviews of the game suggesting the game can get pretty intense, especially in an immersive VR experience. So the game takes place in World War II. You step into a world to become a soldier of the Office of Strategic Services in Europe in the 1940s, where you take on the Nazis, enemy planes, and aiding in the resistance in land, air, and sea. So just seeing the trailer, it looks like there's a great story behind the game. Hopefully it's the level of Half-Life Alyx, which set the bar pretty high in terms of first-player shooter VR games. We'll just have to wait and see if the Medal of Honor can match that quality in terms of immersive storytelling, which by the way wouldn't even be possible within the flat game. In fact, when Upload VR interviewed game director Peter Hirschman about Medal of Honor, he mentioned, quote, "There's things you can do that are really cool that would be hard to do on a flat screen, that would be hard to do with just a conventional controller, and those are the kind of things that we really lean into." So it's set to be released later this year. And you know what? I'm wondering if they will make an additional announcement about this game during Facebook Connect's online conference since they have the attention of the world. Why not mention Medal of Honor along with the new Oculus headset? So you can play this game either by yourself or with a friend in a multiplayer mode, which Upload VR has confirmed. And what makes this game even more interesting, the fact that they have interviewed and utilized 360-degree footage to capture first-hand stories from combat vets of the war, which brings in authenticity into the game. And lastly, I'm also looking at a game called Lo-Fi by Iris VR and its release later in the year. According to the developers, the game will be compatible with the Oculus Rift and Windows Mixed Reality headset. What first caught my eye about this one is this retro looking cyberpunk city, which personally always draws me in for some reason. So you're basically a police officer that has been assigned to a particular section of the city called City Block 303, which is filled with criminal activities. The only type of people or robots who live there are what they call lo-fi, which is a nickname for people or other life forms that did not achieve AR singularity, while most of the population have merged with AI and live in a VR simulation. So you as the police officer patrols the streets and the skies fighting crime, solving mysteries, or even giving into corruption like taking bribes from criminals, going to a black market shop, or utilizing the dark web delivery system. So this can get pretty dark. Now, according to developers, they want to make the world feel real by making a non-linear open world So I think it looks pretty interesting. It looks like a world I think many would definitely want to explore. Like I said, it will be on Steam later this year, but you can actually get early access on itch.io. Right now, it's priced at $35 US. I actually first saw this game on Kickstarter, so the goal was to raise $60,000 US, but they have actually managed to raise over $100,000 US. I'll leave a link below if you're interested or if you want to check out the details of this game. So that's all I got today. Let me know down in the comments what you think about some of these titles, or even if you're still on the fence about purchasing some of these games. As always guys, if you liked the video, press the like button and consider subscribing.